What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another GTA 5 online video. So guys, today we are taking a look at the best tuner car for racing. So we're doing a top 5 today, top 5 best tuner cars for racing. When the Tuners DLC first came out, I also made a top 3 like this, but then of course we didn't have all the cars yet. And right now we do have all the cars from the Tuners DLC, so today we have a more complete list. Now before we start, just one thing that's pretty important. This top 5 will be based first of all on my experience in the races. That's always very important. You actually have to race with these cars. You have to see how they do on different tracks. You have to see how they do in full lobbies. Second of all, I also based it on testing, so comparison videos that I did on my channel and also other YouTubers, for example Brogy. He's a well-known YouTuber when it comes to testing out cars in GTA. So I also checked out his videos and also other videos. So I just gathered information, I based it on this and then also my experience like I said. So without any further ado, let's get into the list. On the number 5 spot, I put the Growler. Very nice looking car. Also very similar to the Comet S2 by the way, but I think the Growler is just a little better, so the Comet S2 won't be in this list. If you want to buy it, you can get it for 1.6 mil normal price or a trade price of 1.2 mil, so that's a decent price. Now the best thing about the Growler I would say is the top speed. It's one of the best top speeds that you have in the tuner class. It's 121 miles per hour, so that's pretty fast. It also has decent acceleration. But the thing where it loses points for me is basically the turns. So when you turn, you have a lot of oversteer with this car. You have this on the other tuner cars as well, of course. On the Comet S2, it's even more than with the Growler. That's why it's not on the list. But with the Growler even, for example, in street races, you have these shortcuts. Most of the time, it's a sharp turn. And taking these shortcuts with the Growler isn't that smooth. And if you don't take the shortcuts, you actually lose a lot of time. For the pursuit races, it will be a better option though. On the number 4 spot, we have the Emperor Vector. One of my favorite cars in the Tuners DLC, and when it comes to handling, it's actually the best car in the Tuners class. Now if you guys want to get it, you can get it on Legendary Motorsports for a regular price of almost 1.8 mil, so quite expensive, and a trade price of 1.3 mil. So like I said, handling very good with this one. So the corners will be very smooth. If you turn, you sometimes don't even have to brake. If it's a sharp turn, of course, then you have to slow down. But that's very good. So in a normal turn, you don't have to slow down that much. So you keep your speed. That's very important. Also, for example, if you have bumps on the road, this car goes over it very smoothly. Now the reason why it's on number 4, it could be higher actually. It's just because of the max speed. It's one of the lowest max speeds. And in the street races, it's actually not that important. So in the street races, it might be higher than the number 4. But in the pursuit races, this car isn't really the best pick. So that's why it's on the number 4 spot. So kind of the opposite of the Growler. The Growler was good for pursuit, bad for street. And then the Vector is good for street, but not that good for pursuit. Now before we go on, I just want to say that the top 3 is very close. It was a hard choice to put them in this order. So the top 3, they're all very good cars. So on the number 3 spot, we have the Jester RR. If you want to get it, first of all, on Legendary Motorsports, a trade price of 1.5 mil almost, and a regular price of almost 2 mil, so a pretty expensive tuner car. Best thing about the Jester RR is the max speed. The best max speed without lowering your car or low grip tires. By the way guys, if you want to know, personally I don't use these things in races because that makes the handling almost impossible. But a max speed of 125 miles per hour, so that's already a big plus point. The acceleration kind of the same like the Growler, so good, a little bit better than the Vector. And then the handling, this car again, just like the Vector, very smooth. So very nice turns, it doesn't oversteer, it doesn't slip. So a very nice car, just like a sports car if you drive it. On the number 2 spot, I put the Karen Sultan RS Classic. Now again, I want to say the top 3 was very close and I was really doubting if I should put this car on the number 3 or the number 2 spot. Because the Jester RR, great car in my opinion. If you want to get the Karen Sultan RS Classic, trade price of 1.3 and a buy now price of almost 1.8 mil. Now the Sultan RS Classic, when it comes to max speed, it's not even that good. It's 117 miles per hour. That's not really high. For example, the Jester RR was 125, so that's a lot higher. But the thing is, the acceleration on this car is actually pretty good. And in races, I think that is more important than the max speed sometimes. Especially in the street races, but also in the pursuit races, you still have to brake and accelerate a lot. So that's also a very important factor. Now, one thing that I have to mention on this one is you have to get used to this car. So for the Jester RR, also for the Vector, you could drive it for the first time. It's just like a sports car. no problems. Now with this one, it oversteers a little bit. Not as much as the Growler, but still it oversteers, so you kind of have to get used to this. You have to brake in a good way before you turn, and then it will be alright, and then it's actually a very good car. Now on the number 1 spot, we have the Calico GTF. I think some people will disagree with this, but for me, it's still the number 1 spot. If you want to get it, you can get it for a trade price of 1.5 mil and a regular price of almost 2 mil, so again, a expensive car. Now I think a lot of people already know this, but the Calico, the reason why it's good is because it accelerates very fast. The top speed is actually pretty good as well, 121 miles per hour, so that's pretty good in the tuners class. And for the rest, I also have to mention, this is also a car that you have to get used to, although it's a little easier to get used to because this car, it understeers, and in my personal opinion, it's easier to get used to a car that understeers instead of a car that oversteers. Now the reason that this car is on number 1, it's the acceleration in combination with the good max speed. So that will make it good for the pursuit races and also for the street races. Now I know, also from my tests by the way, the lap times for the Karen Sultan RS Classic are better. Now the reason why it's still on number 1 is just because while you do lap times, you race on your own. So you don't have any other players, don't have the police like you do have in the pursuit races. So you don't really slow down as much as you would in a real life race. So from my experience, I know that the acceleration part about the Calico GTF plays a very big role, and that it's actually a pretty important factor that will win you the races. So like I said, the top 3 was very close. So the Jester RR, the Calico, the Karen Sultan RS Classic, all 3 of them, you can win a race with them very easily. Also when you play these races, you will notice that the top 3 normally consists of these 3 cars. So guys, that was basically it. Hope you guys agree a little bit. Like I said, it's from my experience in these races. It's also from the testing that I did. It's from other videos that I watched. So this was kind of like the complete picture that I got of all of this. If you disagree strongly though, you can always let me know in the comments. And then for example in the future when we have new tuner cars, we don't know if we will have those though, I will make a new top 5 and then I will keep your comments in consideration. And then we have a better top 5 maybe. So guys, that was it. Make sure to like, subscribe, check out my Discord in the description, and peace out you guys.